Have you ever felt like God is nudging you in a completely different direction? Maybe you're experiencing unexpected changes, facing closed doors, or feeling a deep sense of restlessness. Today, we're going to explore four profound signs that God might be orchestrating something better in your life, even if it doesn't feel that way right now. Throughout history, we've seen countless examples of divine intervention pushing people toward their true calling. Think about Joseph in the Bible, sold into slavery by his brothers, imprisoned unjustly, yet all these hardships were stepping stones to becoming second in command of Egypt. Or consider Mother Teresa, who started as a simple teacher before receiving what she described as a call within a call to serve the poorest of the poor in Calcutta. The first sign that God is pushing you towards something better is persistent discomfort in your current situation. This isn't just about having a bad day or week. It's a deep-seated, ongoing feeling that something isn't quite right. Maybe you've been successful in your career, but there's an undeniable void that material success can't fill. Or perhaps your relationships, though seemingly perfect on paper, leave you feeling emotionally and spiritually unfulfilled. This divine discomfort often manifests as a gentle but persistent nudge, like a pebble in your shoe that won't go away, no matter how much you try to ignore it. It's important to note that this isn't the same as general dissatisfaction or ungratefulness. Instead, it's a specific type of holy discontent that keeps pointing you towards something else, even if you can't quite see what that something is yet. Consider Sarah, a successful corporate lawyer I met during a speaking engagement. She had everything society deemed valuable: a six-figure salary, a corner office, and prestigious clients. Yet every morning, she felt an inexplicable heaviness in her spirit. After months of prayer and reflection, she realized God was calling her to use her legal expertise to help underprivileged communities. Today, she runs a nonprofit legal aid organization and finally feels aligned with her true purpose. The second sign is the appearance of unexpected opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere. These aren't just random coincidences. They're divine appointments, carefully orchestrated to guide you toward your destiny. These opportunities might seem illogical at first, perhaps even scary, but they keep presenting themselves with remarkable persistence. Think about doors that suddenly open in areas you never considered before. Maybe you're repeatedly running into people who work in a completely different field, or you keep stumbling upon information about a particular cause or mission. These coincidences are often God's way of illuminating a new path. It's like when Moses was tending sheep in the desert. He wasn't looking for a burning bush, but God used that unexpected moment to reveal his true calling. I remember David, a successful restaurant owner who kept encountering people involved in youth mentorship. At first, he dismissed these encounters as random, but when a local youth center approached him about teaching cooking classes to at-risk teens, he recognized it as divine intervention. 5 years later, his culinary mentorship program has transformed hundreds of young lives, and he's never felt more fulfilled. The third sign is increasing isolation or separation from your current circumstances. This might manifest as relationships naturally drifting apart, projects coming to unexpected ends, or feeling increasingly out of place in environments that once felt like home. While this can be painful, it's often God's way of creating space for something new in your life. This divine separation isn't about burning bridges or abrupt endings. Instead, it's more like a gentle untethering, where things that once held you in place start to loosen their grip. You might notice that conversations with certain friends feel increasingly superficial, or your passion for once beloved activities begins to wane. This isn't necessarily because these things are bad, but because they've served their purpose in your journey. Consider the story of Rachel, a talented musician who spent years performing in prestigious orchestras. Gradually, she noticed her enthusiasm for classical performances diminishing, while her interest in music therapy grew stronger. The more she explored this new direction, the more her old musical circles naturally began to fade. Today, she runs a successful music therapy practice helping children with autism, and she recognizes that period of separation as God's way of redirecting her gifts. The fourth and perhaps most significant sign is an inexplicable peace about moving in a new direction, even when it doesn't make logical sense. This peace often coexists with fear and uncertainty. It's not about the absence of doubt, but rather a deep-seated assurance that transcends your natural concerns. It's similar to what the Bible describes as the peace that passes all understanding. This divine peace doesn't mean you'll have all the answers or a clear roadmap of what's ahead. Instead, it's more like a quiet confidence that God is in control, even when the path seems unclear. You might feel nervous about the practical aspects of change, but underneath that anxiety is a steady certainty that you're moving in the right direction. Take Michael's story, for instance. He had a stable job in finance when he felt God calling him to become a teacher in an underserved community. The salary cut was significant, and many thought he was making a huge mistake. Yet, despite the logical concerns, he felt an unexplainable peace about the decision. Years later, he's witnessed countless lives transformed through education, and he understands why God pushed him toward this seemingly illogical change. It's crucial to understand that these signs often appear simultaneously and work together to confirm God's direction. They're like pieces of a divine puzzle, each one adding clarity to the bigger picture. However, recognizing these signs requires spiritual sensitivity and regular time spent in prayer and reflection. Remember, God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with our preferred schedule. Sometimes, these signs might be preparing you for a change that's still months or years away. The key is to remain open and attentive to God's guidance while continuing to faithfully serve where you are. If you're experiencing these signs right now, take heart. God's push towards something better doesn't mean your current situation is bad or that you've made wrong choices. Often, it's simply that God has something more aligned with your ultimate purpose and calling. Just as a loving parent guides their child toward growth opportunities, God sometimes needs to push us out of our comfort zones to help us reach our full potential. The process might feel uncomfortable, even painful at times, but remember that God's plans are always for our good, even when we can't see the full picture. As you navigate these changes, stay rooted in prayer, seek wise counsel, and trust that the God who began this work in you will be faithful to complete it. What signs have you noticed in your own life? How has God pushed you toward better things in the past? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Remember, sometimes the biggest blessings come disguised as unexpected changes, and what feels like divine disruption might actually be divine direction toward something far better than you could have imagined.